Alright, right on folks, this project is definitely for the birds. This is a project my brother dropped off here, and he has a client who has these two pieces of art. I think they're made by someone locally here on Bainbridge Island, and they are in need of a stand to hold this up in the landscape. I think they want these to be about chest height, and they're gonna place them, you know, somewhere in their yard or landscape in some beds, that type of thing. So I'm going to build a couple adjustable height stands, and these will have some almost like pitchfork type teeth that will go into the ground, hold this upright, and then you can adjust these up or down. I'm also going to have these so they can pivot a little bit. So what I have here on the table, I collected some stock. I have some 5/8 inch square stock here. Now this is going to be the tines that go into the ground. I also have some 1-inch pipe, and I have some 3/4 inch rod that will slide within the 1-inch pipe. All right, let's get busy. All right, I've got all the parts cut, and I just wanted to show you guys all the pieces here and what's gonna happen with the assembly so you guys can know what is going on here and follow along. So here are the pieces that I cut for the tines with the 45. So I'm actually gonna bend these in this shape. So 5 inches, 10 inches, and 10 inches. This will go down into the ground, and this right here will get welded to the bottom half of our stand. So this is a 3-foot piece of pipe that's hollow, so the tine will get welded to the bottom. And then this 3/4 inch rod will slide inside this pipe. This pipe, I'm gonna drill a hole, and I'm gonna weld this nut, and I'm gonna have this bolt for clamping this 3/4 inch rod that will slide up and down. You can adjust the height. And then I'll have these two pieces of pipe will slide over this T shape, kind of just like this. And then right here on the end of this pipe, I'm gonna drill a hole on either side. That's gonna slide over these two rods. And I don't know, I might weld that on, or I might thread this and put a nut on. I haven't decided quite yet. But then, right, once this is attached to here, this bird can pivot on here. And I'll actually bend a little crook in the neck here. All right, hopefully you guys can follow along with that. And so right now, I'm gonna take these parts, bring them over to the lathe, and put a little chamfer on these edges, smooth everything out. All right, now I'm just doing a little layout. Here's our center rod. Now this will get welded right here. And then here's our two pieces of pipe. So I want about 2 inches here in the middle, and none of this is very critical. I just kind of want an even spacing here. So we look at about 7/8 here, 7/8 there. So in from each end, I think if we drill a hole at 1 inch in 1 inch right through. This is some 3/8 rod, so if we drill a 3/8 inch hole right through these 2 spots, then when we assemble this, I think I might thread this and put a nut over the top, and we can capture this on there. All right, I did end up going with a 13/32 bit, and that feels just right. This is nice. I got these soft jaws in here, and this is for a job a while back. I milled a groove into the top, and that's nice for locking this in place. This pipe does have a seam in it, so I'm putting the seam to the side and I'm drilling right through, because sometimes that's can be pretty difficult to drill through that seam. All right, now I need a 1/2 inch drill bit. This is 7/16 inch, this bolt. This will be our locking bolt. So I'll go for a 1/2 inch bit to drill through our pipe. Usually you get up around a 1/2 inch, and then you want to start using a center drill to go through this. I'll see if this wanders around. If not, all I'm doing is putting a hole right through here so I can weld this nut over the hole and then use this as a clamping mechanism. So we'll see if I can drill right through here. Skating around. Sometimes it's hard to land center on a round piece of stock. There are different jigs. You can make guides for that. And sometimes when I see a cutter, a drill bit or an end mill, something like that, if it's flexing, it makes me think of my friend Moose Mealy. Now back in high school, Mendham High School in New Jersey, someone was using a large end mill in an incorrect way, and that end mill shattered and it flew across the room. Shrapnel came out all over, and it hit him in the shoulder, and he went to the doctors to get it out, and they said, oh, you know, it's embedded into the bone, and if you want to leave it in, you can leave it in. He actually left it in, and I remember him telling me often that he could tell when the weather was going to change, and his shoulder started acting up almost like a barometer. So sometimes, you know, when I see a bit flexing a little bit like that, it reminds me of that, you know, you don't want to use bits incorrectly. Now, if you can see inside the pipe here, but right there, we got a little, almost like a little hanging chad, right? But sometimes that can be a pain to get out, and you can get in there with a deburring tool. This is nice. You can actually make ones that are more V-shaped for getting the underside of a burr. Sometimes that's a weird thing to get out. I don't have any of those right now, but they do make these carbide deburring tools in a little bit of a V shape to get in there. But you can get this into the underside and work that around. It's nice to get the burr out. All right, let's take a look at what we got. So now we can slide this piece in here. All right, slide this on here, and then these two slide over our pegs. Voila, see? So nice. And then this will get welded to here. So I'm almost ready to start welding up the pieces. I'll weld the nuts on here. First, I want to get some acetone. I'm going to clean up all these pieces, get the grease, get the dirt off of it, and so it's nice and clean for welding and painting. All right, I got a little acetone and a rag. What I want to get is one of those little pump acetone dispensers. It's like a little tray, and then you depress it and it puts some acetone up onto your rag when you push it down. I think that would be a good thing. If it didn't leak any, you don't want this acetone off-gassing. All right. So this, you can actually use the acetone to take off the paint on these. Get this, ready for some primer and for some welding. All right, I got the nut poking out just a little bit so I can put that right down into the hole, and then I'm going to weld this. Got to put a nut on all these little short guys. So I'll do the same thing. Divide this into thirds, and I calculated that at 1.07. So I'm just putting one mark here straight forward, so I'll have one tine going exactly towards the front, and then I got a little flat tape rule. This actually comes out to a little bit more than 1 1/16, so right about there. And then we'll come around, we'll make another mark right there. Just stick a clamp on this, and that's nice. The tightening nut is on the back, the tine is going towards the front. Slides in. I know it slides in nice and easy. All right, this is looking good. The next step is I want to heat this up And I want to bend this T forward. So I'm going to put a little crook in the neck, and that is so that the bird can pivot and not hit this pole immediately. So you can adjust the tilt of the bird back and forth. All right, bring these out, get the torch going. Now it's time to put some threads on these posts on the back so then we can attach our little mechanism. But before I do that, it looks like there was something welded here to the top, and I'm going to thread this with this die, and it is good to clean off any of the weld because that weld is really hard and that could crack some teeth in the die. So I'm just going to hit it real lightly here with the sander, make sure that's nice and clean. Alright, let's see how the assembly goes. I just had to cut some small spacers to space these off the back. So let's see if we put these down like that. And this, slide right over this. This right here. We have a nut right there, right there, looking pretty good. And let's see, here's our locking bolt. Yeah, looks pretty good. Let's see how this goes in the stand. All right, so we'll drop this whole assembly right down. So far, so good. Okay, now spin this around and I'll put our lock bolt right here. All right, so I'll just lock this right there, just temporarily. All right, that's looking pretty good. And then the idea is you can tighten this down, and this one, it's got a little extra locking power by having two. It could just be one there. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm liking that. Very nice. And I'll pivot this around to the front. All right, our For the Birds project is looking pretty good. I think that worked out well. We got some pivot on the bird this way. We can raise and lower the bird. We can pivot it this way and that way. It's deluxe. And those tines down here on the ground, those will go 10 inches into the ground, so this will all be a little bit lower, but then again, we can adjust the height. So I'm very pleased with how it's going. Now it's time to put some paint on the steel, and we'll be done. All right, it's time to do a little assembly, and on these parts, on these bolts, I'm actually putting a little bit of anti-seize on there, some Loctite, and I'm just giving a quick roll. These are going to be outside, and this might help a little bit with any rust, you know, making these bind up. So probably doesn't need it, but it's nice to have it. And then on this rod here, I'm just gonna put a light coat of grease. I know, probably doesn't need it. It's not like it's a spinning part or that type of thing, but just nice over time to protect this. Okay, now slide this over. That, and then on these guys too, I'll put just a little bit of the anti-seize. All right, it's time to set up our birds here. All right, two birds of a feather. I think they came out pretty cool. All right, right on folks, two birds ready for flight. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get any pictures of the install. Maybe I'll ask my brother. He's gonna pick these up and put those in. If I do have any pictures of these, I'll put it in at the end of the video. All right, I hope you guys like this video. Hope you like my channel. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your pals, tell your buddies, your amigos. All right, right on. I hope you guys are well, and I'll see you soon. Right on. Watch your top knot.